Before you is an abyss, not just a chasm between two rocks, but the abyss of the human soul, full of secrets, fears, and contradictions. The abyss of moral foundations, where the usual reference points lose their significance. The abyss of old values, collapsed under the pressure of time and new ideas. And only a few dare to look into this abyss without fear of losing themselves, without fear of going mad, without fear of facing the dark sides of their own nature. Friedrich Nietzsche was one of them, a daredevil, a thinker, a visionary, a madman. Today, we are embarking on a challenging journey to try to understand one of the most complex, controversial, and certainly the most influential concepts in Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy, the concept of the Superman. Who is he, this mysterious Superman? A hero capable of changing the world, a madman who has lost touch with reality. Or maybe it is just a metaphor, some philosophical ideal to which we should aspire in order to become better, stronger, wiser. To truly understand Nietzsche's philosophy, it is necessary to know at least in general terms about his life. Friedrich Nietzsche was a man of extraordinary intellect, a brilliant philologist who showed his talents at a young age. But, unfortunately, his life was marred by a constant struggle with poor health, agonizing loneliness, and deep heartache. Suffering from severe migraines and vision problems, he was often forced to lead a solitary life, which undoubtedly contributed to his profound reflections on the world and man's place in it. Already in his early years, he became disillusioned with religion and traditional morality, seeing them not as a source of truth and goodness, but only as instruments of suppression of the human spirit, ways of controlling the individual, depriving him of his freedom and autonomy. Illness, loneliness, and constant, relentless reflection on the most fundamental questions of existence led Nietzsche to a radical rethinking of the world and man's place in it. He boldly challenged established notions, shattered many taboos, and announced the death of God, an event which, in his opinion, had colossal consequences for the entire Western civilization. He called for a reassessment of all values, for the creation of new moral guidelines that would help man to free himself from slavish prejudices and find true freedom. But what does Nietzsche's famous phrase, "the death of God," really mean? It is not at all a simple denial of the existence of God as such, not an atheistic statement in its purest form. It is, rather, a statement of historical fact, the realization that faith in God, in transcendent, supernatural values, on which Western civilization was built for centuries, has lost its former power, has ceased to be a reliable guide for people in life, has lost its appeal and persuasiveness. Nietzsche severely criticized Christian morality, arguing that it preaches weakness, humility, self-denial, obedience, and suppresses strong, life-affirming human instincts. He accused Christianity of glorifying suffering, demeaning earthly life and promising reward only in the afterlife, thus depriving people of the motivation to be active, to fight for their rights, and to realize their potential. So, in the absence of God and traditional morality, man finds himself in a frightening vacuum, without clear guidelines and generally accepted values. In this situation, he experiences confusion, fear, and despair. It is at this critical moment, in Nietzsche's opinion, that there is an urgent need for the emergence of the Superman, a new type of man, capable of creating his own values, independently determining his life and taking responsibility for his decisions. So, we are faced with the most difficult and most intriguing question: who is a superhuman? One should not imagine superhumanity as some biological species, as a being with superpowers, as a comic book hero or a science fiction character. Nor is it some chosen race or elite with special privileges. Superhumanity is first and foremost a philosophical concept, a complex and multifaceted ideal to which, according to Nietzsche, every human being should aspire, regardless of his or her origin, social status, or level of education. A superhuman is one who has been able to overcome the human being in himself, the one who is shackled by prejudice, who fears freedom and responsibility, who blindly follows the crowd. It is he who has freed himself from the slavish fear of God, of public opinion, of traditional values, which, as Nietzsche believed, only suppress the human spirit. This is someone who has independently created his own values, based on his inner world, on his understanding of the beautiful and just, and who lives in accordance with these values, without looking at the opinion of others. It is important to realize that a superhuman is not someone who has already achieved perfection, who has become perfect, who possesses all possible virtues. On the contrary, a superhuman is someone who is constantly striving for this perfection, who is in a continuous process of self-improvement, who is not afraid to make mistakes and learn from them, who never stops at what has been achieved, who is always looking for new horizons and new opportunities for growth and development. Superhuman is not a goal, but a path. The central, key, system-forming concept in the entire philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche is the will to power, but do not jump to conclusions. It is very important to realize that this concept is often misinterpreted, reducing it to a banal desire to dominate other people, to the thirst for power for the sake of power. In fact, Nietzsche's will to power is something much deeper and more fundamental. Rather, it is a basic, innate need of every living being for self-realization, for growth, for development, for overcoming oneself, for revealing one's potential. This is the force that makes a seed break through the ground, a bird soar to the sky, and a human being strive for new knowledge, new achievements, new heights. It is this will to power that is the very driving force that makes the Superman constantly strive for new heights, overcome difficulties and trials, create new values, and change the world around him. This is the spark that ignites in him the fire of passion, inspiration, and aspiration for self-improvement. It is the inner compass that points him in the right direction in life. It is very important to understand that the will to power, according to Nietzsche, should be directed not to destruction, not to oppress other people, not to achieve personal success at any cost, but to creation, to self-improvement, to develop one's talents and abilities for the good of all mankind. The true will to power is not about domination, but about self-realization and contribution to the world. Diving into the depths of Nietzsche's philosophy, we inevitably encounter another fundamental concept that may seem strange and even frightening at first glance: the concept of eternal return. This is not simply a belief in reincarnation, in the transmigration of souls, as in Buddhism or Hinduism. Nietzsche does not offer us a religious dogma, but rather a philosophical experiment, an intellectual challenge that he poses to each person to make him think about the meaning of his life and his place in this world. Get ready, we are about to take an unusual mental journey. This life, as you are living it now, and as you have lived it, will have to be lived by you again and countless more times. If a demon were to slip into your deepest solitude one night and say to you, "This life, as you are living it now, and as you have lived it, will have to be lived by you again and countless more times," wouldn't you lash out at him, gnashing your teeth, and curse the demon who said that? Or have you ever experienced a wonderful moment when you would have answered him, "You are a god, and I have never heard anything more divine"? The concept of eternal return raises deep philosophical questions about the meaning of life and our choices, forcing us to consider how we spend our days and what is truly important to us. The realization that our lives can be cyclical encourages us to be more mindful of our actions, as each one shapes our present and potential future. This idea challenges habitual behaviors and social norms, encouraging us to rethink our priorities and choose what truly reflects our desires rather than external expectations. Eternal return becomes a litmus test for our sincerity. If we can proudly say we like to repeat our lives, then it asks time for a change. It also inspires us to appreciate the simple joys of being with loved ones, the beauty of nature, and the opportunity to do what we love, teaching us to be grateful for what we have. Ultimately, reflecting on the eternal return can be a powerful motivator for personal growth and fulfillment, reminding us that life is a unique journey, full of opportunities for self-expression and self-discovery. And if we learn to live in a way that makes each moment valuable and meaningful, we can confidently say, I am ready to repeat my life again and again. Affects and emotions. Emotions are an integral part of the human experience, having a significant impact on shaping our values, beliefs, and ultimately determining our actions. It is important to realize that emotions are not simply irrational hindrances that interfere with our ability to think logically, but rather powerful internal forces that can both inspire great accomplishments and lead to destructive consequences. Rather than suppressing or ignoring them, it is far more productive to learn to recognize them, understand their nature, track their causes, and harness their energy to achieve our goals. Control over your emotions. The ability to channel them in the right direction is the key to managing your own life, to building harmonious relationships with others, and to achieving inner balance. Self-overcoming. A person has almost limitless potential for development and self-improvement. It is important to constantly strive to overcome one's weaknesses, limitations, outdated beliefs, and habitual ways of thinking. This process requires considerable effort, courage, self-discipline, and readiness for continuous growth, for leaving the comfort zone. Self-overcoming is not a one-time action, but an ongoing journey that requires awareness, commitment, and perseverance. Openness to new things, readiness to experiment. To learn new knowledge is the engine of progress both for an individual, allowing him to realize his full potential, and for the whole society, contributing to its development and prosperity. Understanding the origins of moral values requires looking at their psychological roots and analyzing how these values are shaped by historical and social factors. Morality, viewed from this perspective, appears not as something objective and unchangeable, but as a product of social development, reflecting the interests of certain groups of people and changing over time. The analysis of morality allows us to identify different types of moral systems that demonstrate different influence on human psychology, motivation, and behavior. Consideration of different moral codes and their influence on society helps to better understand the nature of conflicts. Features of social interaction. Mechanisms of identity formation and ways of manipulating public opinion. Studying the psychological foundations of morality promotes critical thinking and awareness, allowing us to make more informed and grasp. Each person's perception of reality is determined by their unique point of view, shaped by their personal needs, interests, values, beliefs, and life experiences. The absence of a single, objective truth implies that each of us sees the world through the prism of our subjective perception of another's point of view. Perspectivism emphasizes the importance of tolerance, empathy, and openness to new ideas, fostering dialogue and cooperation. Critique of rationalism. Overemphasizing reason and underestimating the irrational aspects of human nature can lead to a distorted understanding of motivation and behavior, as well as ineffective decision-making models. Reason, as an important tool for analysis and planning, serves to achieve certain goals, but should not become an end in itself, overshadowing other important aspects of human existence. Man is a complex and multifaceted being, guided not only by logic, but also by instincts, emotions, desires, needs, and aspirations that shape his unique personality and influence his choices. Completely ignoring this multifaceted nature can lead to simplistic, inaccurate, and even harmful explanations of human actions, as well as stifling creativity and spontaneity. Understanding the role of irrational factors is essential to building a more realistic and humane picture of the world. Authenticity. Living in accordance with one's own values, principles, and beliefs, without succumbing to societal pressures. Avoiding blind conformism and imposed stereotypes is an important condition for achieving harmony with oneself, inner balance, and full self-actualization. Striving for authenticity implies deep self-knowledge, awareness of one's true desires and needs, courage in expressing one's individuality, and readiness to defend one's uniqueness. Lack of authenticity, Living up to other people's expectations can lead to feelings of dissatisfaction, alienation from oneself, a sense of meaninglessness, and deep inner conflict. Finding authenticity is the path to freedom, self-confidence, and a happy life. Despite all historical contradictions, speculations, and abuses, the concept of superhumanity surprisingly retains its relevance in the modern world. It continues to inspire people to self-improvement, to constantly overcome their personal limitations, to create something new, meaningful, and useful for society. In an era of rapid change and global challenges, the need for strong, self-confident individuals capable of thinking independently and acting decisively is greater than ever. A superhuman today is not someone who strives for unlimited power to dominate other people or to achieve personal success at any cost. On the contrary, it is someone who, first and foremost, strives for self-realization, to unlock his or her potential, to realize his or her purpose, and to improve the world around him or her, making it more just, humane, and harmonious. It is someone who recognizes her responsibility to society and uses her talents and abilities to make life better for others, who is guided by the principles of ethics, justice, and compassion. So, we have come to the end of our journey into the world of Friedrich Nietzsche as philosophy and to the understanding of his, by far, most famous and most controversial concept, the concept of Superman. We have seen that this is a complex and multifaceted, controversial and debatable, but at the same time, a very inspiring idea, which encourages us to deep self-knowledge, to continuous self-improvement, to create new, relevant to our time values, and to live in accordance with these values, without looking at the opinion of others. But remember that the choice is always yours, each of you. You can accept Nietzsche as philosophy completely, thoughtfully integrating its principles into your life. You can accept it partially, choosing only those aspects that are close and consonant to you, or you can reject it completely, considering it unacceptable for yourself. The main thing is that your choice should be conscious, weighed, thought out, that it corresponds to your beliefs, your values, and your understanding of the world. Do not let anyone impose their point of view on you. Trust your intuition and your mind. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Discuss the topic in the comments. We are interested in your opinion. See you on the channel.